So we're gonna try to do this. Well, happy Friday, first of all. We're gonna try this. We're gonna see how this works. I played in Daniel's game yesterday, and I'd reached out in a couple of places, try to find somebody who could be my, I guess, quote unquote, dummy player for this. And Daniel not only volunteered, but then said, "I'm free tomorrow." I said, "Oh my gosh, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Strike as the iron is hot," as my grandmother would say. But one of the things, not that it doesn't ever come up because it comes up all the time, but I think there's a maybe not enough, I think, is made of the connection between the kind of running the game and then the prep part of the game. And I think that's another thing I mentioned. If you just watch a regular live play of something, you have no idea how they prepped for it, what they're doing in the moment versus what they have pre set up. I presume, I would imagine most live plays, unless they're specifically going for a very, I don't know, not even free flowing, maybe not the word, always kind of vibe. Or they're going to be doing a lot of pre prep because, and I think this gets exaggerated in your home game. I don't mind if we're playing and you got to take a minute to look through the book or whatever, but as a live experience. And remember, these live plays, they are live experiences. They don't want to have a lot of dead time. So it behooves whoever's running the game, GM, to kind of, you know, cut down on that stuff. So you're probably not going to tend to see a bunch of gaps where they're looking through tables and rolling dice. Things like that. Of course, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're doing. Hey, some guy, welcome. And hey, Michael Fraker, if you type out relaxing with all those X's, makes it sound a little bit, maybe a little dirtier than you intend. I'm using Hole in the Oak. I went back and forth last night as I was on the subway thinking about, well, what to run. I thought about doing a classic module. I thought about doing Tomb of the Serpent King or whatever, Tomb of the Serpent King, I guess it is. I decided on Hole in the Oak because even though what we're going to be doing, right, OSE, I'm using the basic, I'm not using advanced. It's basically BX, or it is BX. I thought since these videos, I'm kind of, I don't want to say, I'm trying to put them out there for the OSE kind of crowd. I'm because I think a lot of times, especially if you're new, I imagine one of the problems is if you're new to the hobby and OSE is your first intro in, you might not have any idea about the connection to Basic Expert. So when you're searching for resources, you might search Old School Essentials, you might type in OSE. You're probably not going to arrive at until you start kind of digging in more that there's all these resources if you just substitute searching for help with BX or help with OSE combat and type in help with BX combat instead, kind of thing. So since I am trying to get these out there in the ether for new OSE folks, I thought why not use an OSE adventure because I'm guessing that's more likely that these same people are going to be running than Keep on the Borderlands. Could be wrong. I don't know. Not that it's not applicable if you're running Keep on the Borderlands, but that was my thinking. So I decided, I'll go with Hole in the Oak. Yeah, because it fit. I already own it. Fits the bill. Fits the bill. So I thought, yeah, let's go with that. I'm going to be so one of the other things, and I mentioned this, I guess, in the running the dungeon video, but we have the defaults in Basic Expert of what you're supposed to do, or I'm going to keep saying Basic Expert. I mean OSE. We have default procedures in OSE for running dungeons, but that's kind of in the absence of advice in the dungeon. And then if you're running a third party dungeon like I am, this is not my own creation, obviously, I'm not Gavin Norman, then it behooves me to see what actually the dungeon says, this adventure, what does it say I should be doing in terms of things like wandering creatures. It's probably the wandering creatures is probably the big one. So I did pre do a little bit of work here, just making this spreadsheet. This is just on Google Sheets. I just wanted to have essentially a turn counter, and you'll see in a minute why I have every turn. This is literally every turn. I don't know how many turns we're going to get to. I doubt we'll get to 50 turns because I think we'll. The plan is to play for about an hour, and then hopefully we won't have too much goofy goofy talk at the beginning. But I don't expect that we'll get 50. But I thought I'll just create 50. I don't even know if I'll fill them all in, but 50 I thought was a good number. Certainly, You could probably count. I don't know in an average session how many how many actually turns in a dungeon you'll get in a session. I'm not sure. 50, if you're playing for a couple hours, I imagine 50 is probably a pretty good number, at least to start with. Hey, Ian. Yep, Daniel will be along shortly because I kind of told him we kind of set up. I set up with him noon, which is in 40-ish minutes. But I started the stream now because I wanted to do this prep stuff. So I am solo for the moment, and Daniel will be around in a time of his choosing, or hopefully noon, whichever comes first. Okay, so here we got the map inside, and I will probably not show the map while we're playing. It doesn't really, I don't really too much because the kind of the idea is this: we're, as I explained to Daniel yesterday, and the whole point of this is to be teaching. So I'm going to be very open with the mechanics, but maybe just for fun, I won't have him see the map. Of course, I'll need it, but this is kind of the big thing. So in Hole in the Oak, and we're going to start pretty much at the front of the place, and this is where I'll have to reread a little bit because I'm not sure if it's something where there's I don't know if this one there's multiple ways in that he might want to scout around for, but we're going to start the place basically. So the big thing that I need to know, so there's in Hole in the Oak in the dungeon, there's 1 in 6 chance per turn of there being an event. So they're not using a classic wandering monster table. They're using these events. I still decided to put distance in here because he doesn't put distances in here. So, for example, we get if number 8 were to come up, a procession of frogs hopping towards the river, we don't have a sense of how far away that is from the players. And I think this is important, and I kind of wish they would have put it in, or at least emphasize, hey, use the distance, because it just changes things. So for example, if I roll, what I can do now is, remember, because we're going to roll every turn. I guess in this case, well, usually what it is you roll on one turn and the things show up on the next turn, and having the distance helps kind of factor things in. In this case, we're rolling every turn, and presumably the thing is, I think what I'm going to probably do is give one free turn so that we can have that thing of, okay, I'm rolling for the next turn. Maybe I think so. Kind of, you're going to get a freebie, and then I'm going to start rolling. Is probably what I'm going to do, because I like the idea of I'm rolling kind of for the next turn. The next turn. I did put these check boxes just because I'll probably have this up so I can just check off. Just to check off. What do it? Well, I'm not going to be typing in the Excel file really while I'm playing, Michael. That's what I'm going to be doing now. This is now. But I'll have the list, and then I'll just be able to do something like that. Like, okay, we did turn 1's done, turn 2. I'll be able to kind of check things off as we go. So I think I'm going to leave turn 1. I'm going to give it no encounter. I'm going to let that one be free. Let that one be a freebie. So, but let's roll. So 1 in 6 chance. So I'm just going to have it if I roll a 1. All right. So no encounter on the second turn. Let's see. No encounter on the third turn. No encounter on the fourth turn. So even though I'm rolling every round, because it's only a 1 in 6 chance, we could go quite a ways before something's going to happen, and still nothing. Now let's see. Oh, got one. All right, I got one. We're turn 7. It'll be our first encounter. Let's roll to see what we get. D20. I got 5, so I don't have to switch pages. Okay, so we got that. Paste. And I'm going to roll for distance because I like to know those things. I need another D6 for that, though. I need 2 D6s, right? Okay. I got 70 feet away. 70. Distance is listed above. It is? Above what? What am I missing? In distance is listed above what? We have the event. Got more events here. Where's the distance? Oh, I see. Oh, there it is. You're right. They did have it in there. Never mind. My mistake. See, there's my lack of reading comprehension. My apologies, Gavin. You did have the distance in there. That's just a normal distance. I got you. I got you. Yeah, that's me just reading the headers and not reading the text. Okay, good. That is good. That is good. So okay, that was turn 7. So turn 8, nothing. Oh, please. Whoops. Let's fix that. No, no, not you like that. Can't we do? Isn't it control 0? Here we go. Back here. All right. Turn 8, nothing. Turn 9, nothing. Turn 10. Oh, got one. Another one. Turn 10. 19. It's 19. 1d3 plus 1. Sniveling. Hey, Phil. No, I don't want that. What the heck? Oh, you know what? Is it gonna? Oh, I see. Because of the. I see what's happening. I gotta. Because of the formatting. I gotta go. This is the one thing I don't like about Excel type things. All right, now I'm going to do the 1d3 plus 1 because let's just get it all done. Ian likes this one. Has that Pursuer, there's that Hunter. Yeah, we'll see. Who knows if we'll even get to do some of that stuff because I don't imagine we're going to get super far in an hour. I mean, that's my thought process anyway. Oh, yeah, let me roll for distance. 80 feet. All right, now what's next? Nothing. I mean, keep in mind, just because we're not getting any wandering creatures doesn't mean nothing's happening. Obviously, there's all kinds of set encounters and there's whatever Daniel's team of crack adventurers gets up to. I think he said he was going to be making 6. He's going to control a party. We'll see. We'll see how many he brings. Okay, so we got another one. This one is 10, which is, let's go back over here. Oh, interesting. A danger. Okay. I like it. I gotta do this. And that is at 90 feet. Nothing close. Could be good or bad, depending how you want to look at it. We're already at turn 17, potentially. 5, nothing. And this prep stuff, it's not, it's, oh, got another one. Oh, we got almost back to back. 3. And this is the thing with prep. Not that it's not fun to do, because it can be, but it's not necessarily, in terms of, wow, I really want to watch somebody roll a bunch of times on a table. Yeah, exciting. Okay, 70 feet. Everything, he's either going to be good or bad. Now, one of the things we'll have to keep in mind, and there's no way of doing this in advance because we don't know where they're going to be coming from, is what happens if some of the stuff is happening far away. Maybe it's around a corner. We have to figure it out. I would say treat these distance numbers in the game, with the context in mind. Obviously, if there's no way to go a certain direction, go the other way. If there's nothing, if it doesn't make sense, then bring it in. The numbers, nothing's set in stone until you actually deliver it saying it's X amount of feet away. So feel free if you need to amend the distances, but do it because to me, I like to try to honor it as much as possible. So I wouldn't just do it because it's convenient for me that it's closer or further away. I would do it because that's what I'm being told. All right, gonna get another. Oh, we got another one. 15. 15 says 1d4 heretic gnomes. Oops. You gonna let me copy paste, please? Thank you. 1d4, so I will roll a d4. Get 3. And if you want to, another nice thing about having these in advance, if you want to, you don't have to, obviously, do what you want. But if you want, you can, let me do distance for these. You can, oh my gosh, 80 feet. You can think about, so like these, all right, so 3 heretic gnomes are carrying empty sacks and satchels on their way to the surface. So this actually gives me some context for the distance. They're wherever Daniel is, they're going to be towards, where's, let's see, where's 51 to 60? So here. So wherever Daniel happens to be at this time, I know that directionally I can almost plot the path of where they're going to be going to get to the surface. So that gives me some idea that they're going to be coming from here. They're not going to be coming from, up there, so to speak. But you can also think about like, okay, what maybe are they doing? What other creatures? If you wanted to make these, and this would be more kind of an advanced, or I wouldn't necessarily do this if you're for your first thing, but if you were comfortable with the adventure or you're comfortable what's going on, you can even think about, well, if they're 80 feet away, what's 80 feet away between, say, Daniel's party and areas 51 to 60? And if there's a set encounter in there, like there are 3 troglodytes hanging out or whatever it is, then maybe you could even complicate the encounter by having not just these gnomes showing up, but maybe the gnomes are engaged with the troglodytes and that struggle is heard, and that you can add flavor, you can add, whatever kinds of extra juice to it or just some more interesting complexity. But I wouldn't get hung up on it. I guess it's a nice thing if you have the time to think about it and the inspiration strikes you and there's the kind of the ingredients are available, but don't go nutso trying to do that. All right, so let's. Oh, so he's got another one. Oops, wrong window. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Maybe I'll just do. How am I doing it? What time is it too? All right, I got time. But I also want to read. I don't want to just do this. I need to read. I want to read some of the things to get comfortable. So I'll probably do. Maybe I'll do. Well, let's see how many. If I get a whole bunch more blanks, I can roll these really quick because I'm not getting anything. Ooh, he's getting a lucky run. Well, not that lucky. Only a 1 in 6 chance. He's got over an 80% chance of nothing. So I guess there we go. All right, maybe this will be the last one. 32. 9 is what? Swirling purple vortex. Swirling purple vortex. Well, this one, how come this one did it correct? Oh, maybe I got to do that. Is that right? Yeah, I guess I still want to fix it. It's going to drive me nuts if I don't. That enters the vortex. Oh, no, it's okay. Oh, now I can see. And all right, so this one is interesting. A swirling purple vortex manifests in the air in front of the party. Anything or anyone that enters the vortex is teleported to the destination of the teleporter's randomly selected area of the dungeon. Vortex disappears after 1 turn. That's sneaky. Good way to split the party. 60 feet. Okay. I think this is probably pretty good. So out of 32 turns, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, basically 1 every 5 turns. There's something. So not too much. I did give a freebie at turn 1. I'm giving a freebie, and then I'm rolling after that. So during the game, as I'm going on now, Michael Friggers mentioned, typing notes in Excel. Yeah, I put a notes section here. I don't know whether I'll use it. It was as much for me thinking about even beforehand if something were to come up that spoke to me. I could go, oh yeah, that, and write a note. I probably won't write notes while I'm playing because I'll have enough stuff to think about while I'm doing it. But so as we're playing, right, each turn, I can just tick one off, tick, 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 and then that'll kind of help me keep track. Now, something to be aware of and to be comfortable with is you're going to mess up your turn count. I don't care who you are. At some point, you will forget. You will forget to clock forward a turn. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal. What's the worst that happens is their torches burn an extra turn, or the spell continues a little bit further longer, or it delays an encounter. It's really not a big deal, but you're gonna do it. So don't beat yourself up. Don't go crazy trying to do all kinds of things for the turns. If you miss a turn, no biggie. Brian Smith says, with the set timers, these things all compound. Well, I mean, potentially they could. So, we're going in turns, so we don't know what's going to happen in between. So, if let's say some of these are just atmospheric, right? A small purple lizard scurries along the wall, purping Keswick. That's okay. That's not really going to impact anything. The pink troglodytes dragging a leather bag full of blood, looking for old Greg. Uh, you know, that could, if that's the thing. It's everything that the compounding will happen basically with whatever he's doing in the dungeon. This thing's going to show. These guys are going to show up if he's in the middle of combat or doing whatever. Then yeah, they're gonna. It will compound, and potentially, I was looking at reading these. Potentially, these could compound if he's still, so if he's still dealing with the root. Like this one here, a root burrows out of the floor. Again, it's not really right. It's not a thing, but he could be spending time mucking about with it. Spends a turn. Next turn comes, then yeah, this one will appear. So they could compound, probably not. Because keep in mind, if he's fighting something, anything, it's something like 60 rounds to one turn, and that's eternity in the dungeon. Or rather, in combat, that's eternity. If you're spending 60 rounds, especially in kind of an old school OSR, OSE type combat, I don't know what's going on, but that's way too long. So I can't see any conceivable way that he's gonna be in a sort of fighting situation where one of these things shows up, unless it's that that's that turn. He's doing something, and the next turn is combat, and then that's the same turn. This happens, so then yeah, we would have to see what happens. But unlikely that if he started combat and one of these encounters wasn't triggered at the same time, that those things didn't, that his encounter with the creatures and the event, if they didn't happen at the same time originally, they're not gonna. If he's in combat, it's not gonna bleed over a little bit. Mage's Musings likes to use a tally counter. Yep. Any kind of counter you want to do is good. I'm just using, this one is for me is because I'll see it's helped me not only see what thing I'm on, but then also if there's something environmental going on. I can see that too. So that I can get down to this one. I'll click on oh, okay, I got that. All right. I think 30-ish rounds is probably good. I have a feeling we won't get that far. But then if I need to roll up, it's not difficult, right? I think we can see if I have to roll up a couple of these if something were to happen and I move up these timetables, or I don't know, whatever, I decided to do something else, I could roll some more. But I think I'm gonna hang tough with excuse me, 30-ish rounds worth of random encounters. So again, it's really only 5 spread over that time. I think that's enough. I'm gonna finish off my coffee here. I got not too well. I wouldn't call it fresh, but medium fresh cappuccino for the working man. We got the hunter. So the hunter will change if he does get to wake up the hunter. This would change these. I think we got one. I don't think I got a 2 on the encounter. So I don't think that would apply to any of these. Nearest danger, random direction. Yeah, I didn't get the phantasmal force. I didn't get. So none of these, if he gets to the hunter, it doesn't affect any of my encounters, which is good. So now I'm just gonna full screen. I'm gonna full screen the book, the adventure, so we can take a look and see what I need to know. Oh, interesting. Brian Smith's going abacus. Well, it's kind of cool, right? Because does abacus has different color? It has different color. Something, because I think it would be interesting. Like Mage's Music mentioned rounds and turns. If it has 2 colors or some good way to do it, that's an interesting method. I normally am really like in that cheat sheet. I don't so much care. I don't even really care about the numbers so much as just that, when I got checked, when torches and just that kind of just those kind of 6. I just want to count how many in an hour. I suppose if I was running with doing more of the fatigue, if I wanted to add more fatigue type stuff, then maybe the hours, or if I had some kind of, there are some other interesting things you could do if you want to count hours, like just danger levels going up or something like that. As the def cons of the dungeon would get potentially get increased the longer you hang around there, so that could be something you could do with hours. Got a lot of neat stuff. I don't, as a rule, I don't tend to worry about it too much, but depending on what I was trying to do. Red and white. That makes sense. Ian says, what do you do if the players get separated in 2 groups and you would need to roll 1 and 6 for both? Yeah, I'd have to roll more. I'd have to probably roll another set. I mean, that's the thing is, like, yeah, I can't prep for every edge case thing, right? So my, where is it? My, oh, here. So this is really for I guess I would call it the main party. If I had to, if Daniel decides to split the party, half go right, half go left, then yes, I would have to. I could only use these for half the party, but I'm not going to worry about that. I think you can't worry about that stuff. Some stuff you're just going to have to. The fine art of dungeon mastering is when the unexpected happens, like the party deciding, a 5-man party deciding to go every man for themselves and scattering in 5 directions is doing that. Oh, you know what? Michael Fair asked if the picture in the book, it it has that vibe a little bit. I mean, certainly the guy who's sticking his hand in could be a rendering of Baron. I don't know what the other ones don't look particularly Flash Gordon-y, but certainly it looks like they're maybe having a little bit of inspiration from it, because it looks like he's sticking into the hole in the wall and not a stump. But yeah, I would bet I would not bet against that being an homage to Flash Gordon. All right, so let's go back here. So now we have the big map. Where do we come in from? I'm not sure. I do like the good use of color here. Just, it's not overly colorful, but the colors are meaningful. So we can see that the locked doors are yellow, so we can kind of pick those off. Monsters in green, and then area numbers in burnt sienna, if you will, or brown, or ochre. Where? So I'm okay. I'm gonna guess that 1. So that's what I kind of need to read. So I don't know where. I gotta see, because I would want to, as we don't want to, is to, if there are options for where to enter, I want to give him those options. Though if it was like maybe it was just the first. I don't know if it was like a camp. I probably would. If it was like I was thinking like a con game or some kind of one shot type, I might still give the option. But we have some history. I don't know if I need to know the history. I suppose we could read it, because why not? This portion, all right, the overview. Bozura the Imperishable. Sorry, the street cleaning machine is just moving through. Bozura the Imperishable, a vainglorious wizard of no historical import who once laid claim to the dungeon. Remnants of Bozura's magic can be found in several locations. Okay, so that's some context there. We have the reptile cultists. The dungeon houses an abandoned lizard altar, which was once the upper shrine to a much larger temple complex. A cult of lizard men, giant reptiles, and human cultists once frequented the place, but I guess they're not here. And then the White League, a league of hunters and rangers, protectors of the magical forest, and historical foes of the reptile cults that plague the lands. Hints at the ancient battle between the White League and the reptile cult can be found in a few places in the dungeon. The insignia of the White League is a stag's head with ivory woven into the antlers. Okay, so we got that. I have not Mage's Music Asshole I've ever run. I have not run this at all. This is my first. I guess that's another kind of important thing to note, just in terms of how potentially sloppy this might be. I have not run this dungeon before. I think I read it on the channel. Gosh, I don't know, I'm getting. Have I? uh, let's see. Have I run that? I thought I read this through on the channel, but man, that would be funny if I haven't. I did. Okay, and Amir 1.75 years ago, August 10th of 2022. Read it on the channel. That's my lone experience with this dungeon. And I mean, my recollection is I thought it was really good. So that was another reason why I picked it because, like I said, I kind of already had it, I think, and I know it's they're all. I mean, I think most of the most. I don't know if there are any of the necrotic gnome sort of, I guess, first party OSC dungeons that people or adventures, I guess I should say, that people don't like. I know there's Winter's Daughter, and I thought about that one, but I wanted to do something where it's mostly because this is I'm really doing this for the dungeon crawling aspect. And I know there is a dungeon in Winter's Daughter, but it's not. I feel like that adventure is not so much about the dungeon, and I wanted something that's a little bit had some complexity to it because that's the kind of thing I think you're going to run into more. And I think the Winter's Daughter dungeon, it's more trap puzzle oriented. Mage's Music says the big river, which we could see back on that map. If I go back here, connects to the river flowing out into the incandescent grottos. Both are fun, but they are crazy old school players that be on their toes. Absolutely. Hey, Pavo. I have to admit. Oh, that's talking to Mage. Yeah. Thank you, computer. Brian asked, which is going to be, yep, Daniel's just going to be running the squad by himself. He's running them all. All right, what else do I need to? Characters 1 to 2, that's fine. Unanswered mysteries, I'm not going to worry about those. I'm just going to wing it as I go. I did read the factions. So we have the Heretic Gnomes, Cast Outs for dabbling in evil magic. We have the Mutagenic Ogre. We have the Sheep-Headed Fawns. We have some Troglodytes, and we have some River Ghouls. And we can see here that the gnomes are pestered by the lizards. I'm not sure what they mean by pestered in this sense. That mean that they're being attacked. They're scared of the ogre, which makes sense. I guess they get along okay with the fawns, and they have some knowledge, but they don't truck with them. The mutagenic ogre wants to eat gnomes, hates other factions. The fawns, they're wary of the ogre and the troglodytes. They don't know about the ghouls. They want to become friends with the gnomes. Aw, maybe you can help them out. And then the troglodytes avoid everybody else, and the river ghouls just want to eat everybody else. All right, I might need to. I wasn't going to have this on stream, but I might need to reference it myself. The stream layout is probably just going to be me and Daniel. I'm not going to do. I'm not doing it. No one's asked actually, which I guess is cool. About if I'm VTTing this up, and the answer is no, I am not. So it'll be Theater of the Moined, essentially. Ian says they've run it twice. One of the groups made friends with the ogre for a while. No one ever made friends with the fawns or gnomes. Oh, poor fawns and gnomes. Interesting that they chose the ogre and not the gnomes. I guess a lot depends on what kind of reaction rolls you get. Because the ogre, it says it hates other factions, but maybe if you could promise them gnome bits, maybe you can get them on your side. All right, thanks, Pavo. Cheers. Happy Friday to you. All right, so we have the river. Swimming in the river, cold and fast, making it dangerous. 1 in 20 chance of drowning per round. 1 in 6 wearing heavy armor. You got to swim upstream. You need a strength check. Boats are carried eastward at 30 feet per round. Rowing upstream requires a strength check. Okay, good to know. We got some rumors. I might just give him a bunch of rumors. Maybe just the first. If he brings 6 characters, maybe I'll just give him the first 6. Just because he's got a bunch. It's not, it's not a, we're not, we're going to be starting at the location. So I don't need hooks to go, you're not in the village. We're not starting in the village where I'm trying to hook him into going. He's just going to start there. But since some of these have some potentially true information or mixed, true or false, or what are they all? How many are true? So let's see. We've got a selection. So in the first 6, we've got 1 partial, 1 false. No, sorry, 3 partials. No, 2 partials, 2 false, 2 true. Perfect. Perfecto. So I can read those to him and he can decide which ones he believes in. And we have a treasure. Let's see. The following treasure is located in the dungeon. As much of it is hidden, only cunning and thorough parties will find it all. Note that random items may be found under the hats of the gnomes are not included. Okay. That's just kind of nice. It just gives us, it's not a table per se. It's just an index to the various treasures. Grimlock says, when they ran this, the players swore their souls to the gnomes, Chaos Stump God, and then took them on a mass combat rampage through the whole place. Nice. Then they died. Then they died the next week and couldn't be resurrected because the tree had eaten their souls because they hadn't brought it a soul in a week. Oh, that's great. I mean, that is just that's perfect tragic adventuring. I like it. Okay, now we get to the descriptions. I have no idea how much Dan's gonna get through, so I just kind of wanted the vibe for this because obviously he's potentially going to be on. And yeah, well, let's see, it's 11:52, so if he comes on time, I only have about 8 minutes of thing left, so I just want to get kind of the feel. All right, so we'll start at the dungeon entrance, which is in an airy forest glade, dreamlike atmosphere, the ancient gnarled tree. There's a hole in the oak. So there might not be actually another place to go down, which is good. That's fine. Bottom of the shaft. Something that I do like, I was actually talking to Daniel last night about it, and I want to say, who was it that I'd read? Was it Luke Gearing who does? There's somebody, it might be him, who really does not like the whole bullet pointy kind of layout. I go back and forth on the layout part of it, but what I appreciate is the call outs. And I like the call outs, whether it's in bullet form or not. I just like when you can call out, or when things that you, as the person who has written this adventure, deem to be important, and hopefully you've got the right things as important, that they're in some way called out to me, so that me, if I'm scanning and I need to kind of find something quickly, I can find it easily. And something I find that's problematic for me, and I think it comes out a lot in streaming, but it would happen to me. It would come out with me if I'm running too. Is that I have to try to figure out if I'm in the moment, and I think that's the one thing about streaming. When I'm streaming a read, I find myself under a similar or a feeling, probably a similar pressure to when I'm running a game, which is all eyes are on me. Everyone's waiting for me to deliver some piece of information. So when I can easily find the pieces of information, then that helps keep me in the kind of flow state. If now, obviously, if I've internalized the whole adventure, that's great, but that's often not going to happen. So to the extent that I can just quickly eyeball something and there's not a bunch of dead air where I have to kind of read, pick out what's important, and then do that. Now, of course, see, for me, I'm not someone who likes to. The other thing for me is I'm not someone who likes to mark up my books. I do not love marking up my books, because the other thing you do is you pre-read the adventure. You could use a highlighter. You could do that. I think if I had a PDF and I could print it out, I could print out one and then do that. If I had, especially if it's kind of an old, if I have an old adventure now, I'm not going to mark it up. I wouldn't even do it with a new adventure. I don't think it's just not for me. I'm always really impressed with people who do that, because I just feel like, oh, I'm killing the book. I know I'm not really, and in some ways it makes it more mine if I were to mark it up, but I can't get myself to do it. So the other thing is I could read it and mark it up in a way to kind of bold stuff and call things out for myself. But when when that can be done ahead of time, you can't. Now, Daniel's point, I guess other people's points are probably as well, or I don't know, he might not speak for everybody, is that having the language in there, kind of the text, the description stuff is nice, and part of it, I think it's kind of like, well, if I'm paying kind of you have written this thing, show me, give me some of that, writing. It's kind of part of that thing. Do I want the food, the finished food, or do I want the kit? And we've mentioned this before in terms of hex crawling, how much, and those kinds of big setting things, how much do you want to have done for you, and how much do you want to kit? I think in the dungeon kind of sense, there's a similar argument, in the sense of there are some folks who want the flavor text, even if they're not going to use it, they want it because it's like, well, give it to me. I might want to use it, and that's kind of value for money kind of thing. It seemed the OSE, or I guess the necrotic gnome style, is more, not that it's not well written, but it is definitely more in terms of these description things. It's kind of that kit. Brian says that they usually read it through and write their own notes on note cards and just read the note cards. Oh, that's cool. Gomichops says they use bullet points when writing adventures, so they like them, but they also want flavor text to build atmosphere and not rely on having to find the implied atmosphere in products I buy. Yeah, I do like, and of course it's going to be kind of up to everyone's. I like the I guess the kind of tags that they'll do. So you get sandy floor, and then you get the jumbled hoof prints and boot prints, and they could, these can be flavorful. You could make these as a bit flavorful if you want to. Even these words, jumbled, riddled, they kind of tell you a little bit about the space. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think what I dislike about the flavor text sometimes, or I guess most of the time, well, it's not always happens, but sometimes the information isn't in the order that I want the information. So you get this whole description of a room, and then at the bottom it'll be like, and 8 orcs are in front of the door and they attack on sight. And that kind of thing. It's like, but I'd rather have that at the front. Give me at the top, because if you open the door and there are 8 orcs that are running out at you, then probably the rest of the room and the curtains and the pattern on the carpet on the floor, and that's well worn, and the desk probably don't enter into it, and that'd be something that you could get after the combat when you survive, and then you look around, you see that stuff. Whereas maybe just, oh yeah, you open the door, it looks like an office, but you can't see much of it because 8 orcs are gathered around the door and they leap at you, kind of thing. What else we got here? Oh, Ian likes those line item style sticky notes. Oh yeah, those thin ones. Those are good. Grimlock likes, says Gavin Orr's really good at call outs. Absolutely. Mage's Musings says in terms of call outs, that it's if you're running on the fly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff is obviously, the more you prep, the more some of these problems will go away, right? So if I've internalized it, I've prepped it up properly, then yes. Then if I've done that part of the work, then certainly. But I think even in a prep sense, I think to the extent that you can call things out, let me know, hey, this is important, because let's face it, everything you do is going to be imperfect. So give me a tool, give me an aid if you can, I would say. But yes, totally. If you're ideally in an ideal world where the dungeon master is putting the ideal amount of prep in, then they've read the thing before they run it, or at least read the part they're going to get to, presumably in that session, and then they've kind of lined up. But again, ideally in a practical, real world place, and there is something to be said. Oh, here comes Daniel's coming in. All right, let's swap here. Hold on, I got to do this. Let's transition off, camera on, and then let me do this. I got to put on my headset for a second. Hold on. All right, Daniel, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, I can hear you. Excellent.
I got my BX mug.
Very nice. Were you able to create your characters? I left you to your own devices with your assembling your A team.
Well, it took a long time, but through long 10-page backstories each, I've created 6 characters. 6, I think.
All right.
A fighter.
So the first step is to take those backstories, crumple them up, and throw them behind you.
Yes, but this one gives me a magic sword, so I'm going to stick with it.
Very good. So yeah,
so I got a little mix here. I got a fighter,
right,
magic user, cleric, elf, thief, and a dwarf.
All right.
They're not named because that's the hardest part.
All right. How should I do this? I might need to write that down. I have, of course, the one thing I don't have. Oh, where's a pen? I got all this stuff at my desk, and what I'm lacking is the thing that I need, which is just an input. Oh, you know what? I got a whole stack of pens right here. Just not looking in the right spot. Okay.
All right, I'm going to put you over
here. How am I doing? So you've got, how many characters do you say you got? You got 6?
6. That seems to be the appropriate number for BX.
All right, let's so read them off to me. You got fighter.
Yep. All right, so I have a fighter.
Yeah.
I have a magic user.
Okay.
I have a cleric.
All right.
Elf,
Elf,
Silverleaf, Thief,
thief.
Black Dougal, the Dwarf, who I never remember the dwarf's name.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Yep.
What is your? Do you have a marching order? Do you want to give yourself a
Oh
marching
yeah,
order?
of course. So the dwarf and the elf are going to lead, and we'll do 2 by 2 if we can. They're going to stay slightly ahead so they can use their information. The
All right.
magic user and thief will be in the middle. Magic user holding a torch, and the cleric and what's the last character? The cleric
Fighter.
and fighter will be in the back. Yep. And let me just
Okay.
check. I don't think the cleric. One of these two I will also torch up. Let's see. He has a shield, or I guess I didn't name them. So we'll see. Does my cleric have a shield?
Bum bum bum.
No, cleric doesn't have a shield. So cleric will have a torch as well. Right.
All right.
That
All right,
way
so
we got light because Todd, last time I played, tried to kill me with a pit trap in the first 5 minutes. So
that's right. Well, this is not my adventure. If you die in the first 5 minutes, we can blame Gavin Norman and the folks at Necrotic Gnome.
well,
I don't know if there's any other folks besides him in Necrotic Gnome. I guess at this point he must have a team, right? I imagine with all that they've been doing, he's got to have multiple people to what we can blame.
I have. I've heard that he has a cloning bat, and thus,
Absolutely. All right,
all right.
so you begin your team, your
Mhm.
A team, if you will. You're in an airy forest glade that's wide and clear. It's got a very dreamy atmosphere. And before you stands an ancient, gnarled oak tree that happens to be in the center of the glade. And in that oak tree, you could see about a 3-foot wide hole among the roots that leads into darkness. Now, before you make any decisions, you have heard some things about this location,
Ah.
which you have not gleaned whether true or false. You've heard variously that there's a great wizard who once dwelt in the caverns beneath the oak. And I guess just to say the fighter was told that to beware their deadly bronze golem that seems to be loose. The magic user heard that there are gnomes that live down there that worship an idol of solid emerald. The cleric heard that there's an underground river that flows through the caverns and that the rotting corpses of the drowned stalk the banks in search of flesh. The elf had heard that there's a holy chalice with the power to reverse death, but it's guarded by a silent evil. The thief had heard there's a great warrior of the White League who was entombed in those caverns. There was like kind of I guess, an earlier sort of legendary heroic group. And then finally, the dwarf had heard that all the statues in the dungeon turned to solid gold once a day.
Oh, well, if that's not reason enough for a dwarf to go, I don't know what would be. I'm guessing they changed back. Okay, but that's all we know so far.
Unknown. Once per day.
Well, I don't have any other additional
They turn
information.
once a day. Nope, that's
Okay.
all you got.
Wow. Okay.
But seems like
so
treasures
we
and-
must have read it in a book or saw it written on the bathroom wall, because I think I would have asked more questions. But all right, we'll leave it at that.
yeah, people only know, it's kind of hushed tones. Folks don't tend to come out this way, but they had heard
Right.
these things.
Okay, and nothing about monsters living in the tree.
Other
But
than
just to be safe,
other than the undead, the potential undead, souls of the drowned coming to crawl people away, and the fact that there might be gnomes living under there. Oh, those are the only, I guess, monster references that you got. Potential.
All right, so we're gonna make a skirmish line, and we're gonna walk around the tree before we go in.
All right.
Make sure there's no other entrances or something hiding behind it.
Nope. The tree. Yep, you're able to walk around. It's kind of dreamy, and it's a beautiful morning, and you can smell. It's kind of a, I guess, kind of like it would be here in sort of a spring as we experience it here in May. Definitely some. If anyone's got any allergies, maybe they're sneezing now and again, but it's just a beautiful spring day, and just the tree in this glade. I think the only thing that may be unusual is that the tree is literally, it is the only thing in this glade. Like the glade and the trees seem like maybe they fit together in some way. Like there's nothing else growing. There's no other trees or scrub or brush or anything else. It's clear.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think as first level adventurers, we might not know that much about dryads and such. So I will just ignore any bad feeling I might have about crawling into a tree and never coming back. And yeah, let's get the dwarf is gonna lead the way because it's 3 foot tall. Which we're gonna have to go single file probably. So
Okay. I imagine what the elf will just bounce
yeah,
behind the
yeah.
dwarf.
Right, we're just gonna, you know,
Who do you want in the very
boom,
back,
boom,
the
boom.
cleric or the fighter?
The fighter.
Okay. So when
Yeah.
the dwarf looks in the hole, they can see that there's a shaft that leads down about 20 feet to a floor that looks like it's either maybe loose earth or it feels like it's kind of powdery at the bottom. And that the
Oh,
roots happen to form sort of a natural ladder. Like you can see how you could grip the roots and kind of go down as if you were climbing down a ladder.
okay, fair enough. Again, being a little paranoid, I'm gonna take a rope, one of my 50-foot ropes, and I'm gonna
Yep.
tie it around the tree itself, like
Can do.
around the trunk, and drop that down.
All right.
And just
Done.
in case these roots decide to not be here when I get back.
All right. So
And
so
yep, go ahead
just
and
so
do that.
we're because I one of the things it's teaching here. So that will be we're going to call that turn one for folks keeping track at home. Turn one, examining the tree, tying the rope, and doing these little investigations. So we're now officially on turn two.
Okay, so we're gonna drop down one at a time, but the last person to drop down is gonna be the fighter. So I'm going through this many characters. Nope. Yeah, the fighter, because they have a crossbow. They're gonna stay up top and guard. While
Okay.
everybody goes down in marching order. Well, they're the last one down anyways. So
Yep.
they'll keep eye just in case something creeps up on the party while they're standing down there in the darkness. And once we get
Yep.
down there,
So
we'll light
the
up torches and such.
absolutely. So the dwarf who's the first to kind of get to the bottom. The floor
Hmm.
is kind of sandy. He can tell that there are a bunch of. He can't necessarily make out the prints, but he can tell that some seem to be booted and other ones seem to be hoof prints. And of course, the walls of this area are riddled with roots of all kinds of different sizes. And then
Hoof
I
prints.
gotta scroll.
You know what? I need a piece of paper actually, so I can make a map.
There's basically one passage leading off from this chamber.
Oh,
It would be, I guess, to the northeast.
all right. Let me get a piece of paper.
A tunnel, if you will. Hey, everyone. Welcome from Brazil or Everlon. I can't. Oh, my glasses.
All right. I was going to take electronic notes, but I feel like it's just easier to write it on a piece of
It
paper. All
is
right.
easier.
Yeah, we'll get rid of this. All right. So we drop down into a tree. There's a passageway going to the north. How big is this area?
Northeast. It's about, what did we say? It was, gosh, I gotta get this map on a different page. This is where I wish I had the book in physical form, so I don't have to go back and forth so much. We're talking about, oh, I don't know, 20 feet. It's not a
Oh,
square,
okay.
but if it were square, it'd be about 20 feet square.
All right. Yeah, so it's not too big.
And then with the, who's got the torches? Once you get everybody down there, basically
Magic
you can see
user
it.
and cleric.
Okay. The passage goes at least 30 feet off before you get dwindling into darkness.
Okay, so staying, the first, can we do double file here, or we're singling up?
Let me see. Does it? Do we get? That's a good question. Are these? You got to go single file here.
Okay, so just
It's
like
a bit narrow. It's
we'll
only about
zipper together.
5 feet across. So the passage.
All right. So with the dwarf going first, followed by the elf, we'll start to head in.
All right, that is turn two.
Look at my characters.
Where's my? Hold on, I just gotta get my. Let's get this organized here a little bit. Okay.
So the dwarf, by the way, has a spear,
Okay.
and I'm periodically just kind of, if it's stabbing into the ground to see if it stays sandy. It's not like quicksand or something.
Oh yeah, no, it's just it's kind of a fine powdery sort of dirt, but it's solid. It's solid.
Okay.
No one's gonna go into the kind of no quicksand effect. No one's gonna fall into the floor. So you come to a junction point, and there's still more of those hoof prints and boot prints. There's a whole jumble of them. So the most that you could maybe see is that it's coming in not just in one direction, but potentially in and out and amongst each other. But hard to tell. You don't see anything else that would let you know whether they all happened at the same time or if one set came before another set kind of thing. But there's definitely a bunch of these prints, mixed prints around. The walls of this are all roots still, and there's lots of worms kind of crawling along between in the walls. The tunnel is fairly low. It's only about 6 foot high, so it's kind of like brushing the tops of I guess maybe the fighter, whoever the tallest folks are, is maybe crunching down a little bit.
Yeah.
There is an old leather glove that's sitting on a root. Just seems to be kind of laying there as if someone kind of placed it. And then this junction leads kind of northwards or eastwards. To the north, the dwarf can hear that there's a kind of a sound of rushing. Could be kind of a wind or water, not sure. And to the east, you can see there's a faint green glow, kind of a warm green glow emanating.
I see. Okay, so I'm gonna look at the glove. Is it just flat, or is it like pointing?
No, it's flat. It's like someone had
Okay.
taken it off and laid it down.
All right, I'll take my my spear, scoop it up,
Yep.
and I'm gonna turn it opposite of how it is.
Yep. You can see the inside part of the glove. It's old, and it's I guess it's a usable glove. Maybe it's seems to be kind of human size, roughly. Maybe I don't know, medium size,
Yeah.
not particularly small, not particularly large. Not
Okay.
a great quality glove or anything. Kind of a little ratty and torn, but yeah,
Well, somebody may have left it here.
Free glove.
Yeah, no, somebody might have left it here to track their mapping. So I don't want to do that to another adventurer. But knowing about the emeralds or hearing about the emeralds, I'm excited to go to the east. But we're all going to go into this eastward passage. But when the fighter goes in last, he's going to take his 10-foot pole and put it down on the ground, and I'm going to clear all the footprints off.
Okay.
So that way, when we come back, we can see if there's any fresh footprints.
Ah, gotcha. All right. So, yeah. So we'll call that turn 3. You guys are moving east. So are you just clearing this section, or are you going to be clearing as you go in terms of
just in the intersection? Because that way we
Okay.
can see specifically. We're not trying to cover our tracks, more to use it as a guide if something else is walking by when we're gone. So at this point, once we're just past it, since there's a glow forward, the dwarf's going to go like maybe 20-ish feet ahead of the party with their infravision to see if I can see anything before the party continues
you
on.
really don't even have to go that far. So because basically because it's curving, so it's not angled. So as you start to kind of move around that bend to the east, you can see that there's a whole bunch of roots that have kind of blocking. They're hanging down and sort of blocking your advance. They're it's other than that, it's kind of the same, ultimately the same sort of environment you've seen. So the sandy floor, more the hoof prints and boot prints, tunnel's still low, but now there's just all these roots hanging down that are just totally blocking passage forward.
Okay, are they thick? So I'd have to chop them to get through, or are they thin? So I'd have to push them aside?
It looks like they're various. There's various, but there's enough of the thick stuff that you'd probably need to chop through. You could potentially push through it, but there's some of them that seem to be pretty meaty.
Okay. All right. We're going to leave that actually and go back.
All right.
Because I don't have an axe. And I'm sure I could probably use a sword, but I'll use an axe is more efficient. So when we get back to the intersection, assuming there's no new footprints, we'll try to step around and not leave any.
Yeah.
And
no new
north.
footprints. Yep. And so okay, so now you're moving northwards. I don't think you haven't gone 120 feet, so we're still in the same turn. So as you're moving, it's kind of seems to be going on, more or less a northern direction. It seems fairly long from here. Let's see. So you're moving 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, around 35, at least 35 feet, and then beyond. So out to the edge of your torchlight, and it seems to continue to move onwards. There is, you can hear that rushing sound coming. And then as you're moving down, again, you're getting about 30 feet down this corridor. There's this form of a old white whiskered, purple robed wizard that appears and it seems to gesture benevolently and utters, "Welcome to the realm of the imperishable. Please await in the provided for your own safety. Do not," and then it kind of crackles and disappears.
All right. So the dwarf looks back at the elf, who shrugs, and we keep going.
And then you can see that it's like at the edge of the torchlight, you can see that there seems to be, it opens up into a chamber. So kind of beyond that, where that illusion stood, maybe another 30 feet beyond, it definitely seems to open up into something.
Okay, we'll move up into that chamber.
All right, we'll call that turn 4. So now we're on turn 5. And let's see what you get there. All right, so there's here it seems to be more of a fashioned chamber. From what you've been seeing so far, it's been very natural, like someone has dug through these roots and kind of placed it here. Here you're seeing uh, it's a circular chamber. It has a cobblestone floor. The walls and the roof also have brick, though it's not in great repair. There are parts where roots have been poking through the roof in particular, but it is an arched roof that's finally it's about 10 foot high, at least where it towards things, so you can kind of uncrack your shoulders. And then to the north, you can hear that water sound, obviously growing slightly louder at this point. There looks like there's to one side to the east, there's a passage going off. The room itself seems to be about 10, 15, about 30 feet. If it was square, though it's rounded. There is a passage basically east and west, and in the center of the room is it looks like there's it's a rug. It's crimson, so kind of a blood red, seems to be of a wool, and it's got geometric patterns woven throughout.
Well,
Other
that
than
looks
that, the room
completely
is
safe.
bare.
All right. So it's a rug. So it's in the middle of the room. I can walk around it.
You can definitely walk around it. Yes,
Yeah.
it's not a wall to wall furnishing. There is, I think, about a
Okay.
5 feet more or less of space, so you can single file it around the rug.
All right. So we're gonna kind of come into the room
Yep.
and kind of spread out along the wall with our weapons kind of ready. The thief in the center is still in the passageway area. They're going to get down on their hands and knees and crawl forward towards the rug, and we're going to try to grab the edge of it and start to roll it up to see if there's something underneath it.
All right. Let's see. So yeah, it sounds like a smart thing to do. Let's see. Yep. So you notice that as you kind of roll up the edge, as soon as you kind of roll it up a little bit, there's just a faintish glow, and there seem to be some kind of you see the etchings of something underneath the rug.
Oh, well, fantastic. They kind of look back at the magic user, uh, who again shrugs because we're first level, and they continue to roll up the rug.
Yep, and you don't know what they're definitely, and you can kind of pull up more. You can see it looks like at least part of some kind of runic carving that seems to match the
Cool.
circle of the rug. Just kind of either the rug was fitted to the runes or the runes to the rug. Who knows? But there are the runes underneath there, and they
Okay. Cool.
don't seem to be in any kind of language that you guys understand. They definitely have symbols of some sort. And yeah, the magic user shrugs.
Would it be possible is it too complex for me to take out a piece of parchment and kind of make like jot it down? Not put it, obviously it's too big to put on top, but pick up my script.
I mean, you could, yeah, at this point you've got uncovered maybe like one or two of the symbols. If you want to write them down, you can. But the rug is like 20 feet in diameter
Hmm.
circumference, so you can't get them all unless you're going to spend time rolling up the entire rug. But you could certainly.
Oh
I mean, if
yeah,
you
no,
want to
no,
do
no.
that,
We're
you
gonna
can.
we're gonna spend time. We'll take this entire turn if that's what it takes, because then we got
Yep,
to rest next turn anyway. So yeah, we'll roll the whole rug up. Why not?
that's true. All right. Yep, you roll the rug up, and yeah, there's a
Yeah.
whole very nice. Appears to be old. Obviously, it's in good shape because the rug has been covering it up. Completely in some alien or I mean, you guys can all presume. Obviously, it seems eminently magical. Like I said, it's got a little bit of glow to it, but what it says, what it
Yeah.
means,
I
none
I
may
almost took
know.
read magic. For all those people out there that said read magic is a bad spell, there you go.
That's right.
Instead, I took magic missile, which is the worst spell because I randomly rolled. All right, so yeah, so we make a copy of it if we can, as best
Yep,
as we can, and we
absolutely.
rest, and of course start a new turn.
And you resting? Yeah. All right. So now you rested. There are those. You've noticed those two exits to the chamber. Wait a minute. Let me just make sure I'm not shorting you an exit. Oh,
There's
there's
four.
three. There.
Oh,
Yeah, there's the way you came. Yeah, there was four ultimately. So there was the way you came. There's you can go east, west, and it does continue north.
okay. So while we were taking this rest, it would have been possible to kind of decide if this rug was valuable or not. Like, does it seem like it
Yeah,
would be
sure.
something worth carrying?
Yeah, let me the
I mean, you
value
got a
of the
thief.
rug. This is like
They might
what is
have.
it? The Price is Right.
Yeah, well,
I
they
say
figured that
$1.
thief, they can fence the rug.
Let's see. What do they say? They say anything about the rug? Let's just it is fine wool. Let's
Yeah.
do
So,
let's do I don't know. 3d6 times 10 we'll do for the value of the rug. You want to roll it up, or I could roll it up? What do you feel?
oh yeah, no, yeah, I'll roll it.
But it's a
Torch
big
wise.
rug. It's
Oh yeah,
heavy.
we're not taking it right now. This will be like consolation prize if. Oh. So 3, 5, and 1. Okay,
So
so that's a lot to carry for not a lot of gold, but
yeah.
we're first level, so that's 90 gold pieces. All right, we're gonna roll it back though and leave it here for now.
All right.
At
It
the
has
end of
been
the
it
turn or
has been
whatever.
rolled back.
Yeah, so we're like, we don't want anybody else to discover this magic because clearly nobody else would be foolish enough to unroll a rug in the middle of a dungeon. This is
That's
why we're bold adventurers.
that's right.
And we'll go to the east because I'm trying to see if we can circle around to get to the other side of those
Okay.
roots.
Why you're so you're coming down the east, and it looks like it goes about passage goes about 20 feet, seems to open up into some kind of chamber, but then the passage also seems to push through the chamber. You could also, as you're kind of looking down there, from you can't really tell exactly how far it is, but you hear this little voice, and it's almost it sounds like you have to listen to it. First, it seems like almost just a croak, and then as you kind of hear it again, because it seems to be repeating, it seems to be saying the word, but in a weird way, like Kazakh, Kazakh, Kazakh.
I feel like that's relevant to something that I heard before. All right, so was that perfect? Uh, says the magic user, and calls out, Gazek, we are here for the gold.
Yep.
Honesty is the best policy. They note.
Honestly. Yeah, you kind of hear it just go, and then it seems to stop
Oh,
or fade out. Not sure
yeah.
which.
The fighter says they may have been just a frog. Uh, and then they kind of just the magic user glares at them, and then we walk through.
All right. There is let's see. So hold on a minute. Let me just I gotta so here we get another kind of room. There's a statue. So as you're approaching this,
Ooh,
you can see it's kind of it's a chamber, but it's like it's I don't know, almost like an antechamber with the passage running through it. There is a in the middle of it, you could see a statue of a hunter and two hounds, and the hunter has a bow in hand and a sword at their belt, and it's kind of sitting there. You can also seems to be that there's a little bit of it looks like a little bit from your torchlight, maybe some reflections happening from where you can't quite see it until you get closer if you're going to get closer, but some kind of reflective potential materials that are reflecting light, some of your light back at you from inside the room, but you can't quite tell from where you are what that might be.
okay, yeah. So the dwarf, just hold on for a second, and they will, because they have information, they'll move forward into the room, kind of walk to the edge of the room, and kind of
Yep. So it looks
look
like
around to
there's
see if they can see what.
yeah, it's hard. So with the infravision, actually, it's kind of whatever it is on those two walls is not emitting any heat itself. Well, I
Okay.
guess some of your light would be some heat. So you can see there's two kind of rectangular would be like rectangular things that seem to be emitting a little bit of heat, but it looks like I would imagine you could tell it's not its own heat. It seems like it's a little bit of reflected heat energy from your torches.
Okay.
And then there's the statue in the middle, and then the passage continues on, and there's one of those on there's basically 5 feet. It's a bit of an oblong rectangular room, and 5 feet to either side that space. That's where these two reflective kind of rectangular things are, and then you can
Okay.
see
Are they on the
about
walls?
they seem to be either on the walls or against the walls.
Okay.
We'll call that.
All right. I'll look up to make sure there's no
Yeah.
giant spiders or anything.
No,
And assuming
no
there's not, we'll
spiders
move
in the.
forward.
Nope.
Okay. So we'll walk up and bring a torch to the room
Yep.
and see what those things are before we walk in. So we'll kind of
Sure.
gather in the doorway with the torch.
They look like so you can tell as you're coming in. There it looks like they're two identical mirrors.
Oh, okay. So in the mirrors, are we seeing, or do we think we see, obviously, because from where we are, we can see. Would the mirrors be reflecting the statue, or would they be reflecting each other? Like, do we think the mirrors can
Um,
see each other?
Oh, well, they're opposite each other. So there's kind of like they are all aligned. So you have the
But is the statue in between? Is the guess what I'm
statue,
saying?
statue is in between. So the mirror's on the ends
Okay.
of the two long ends.
Mhm.
You're going through the middle, the short
Yeah.
end of the thing, and so that's the mirrors are both on each side, and the statue's in the middle. So it is in
Okay.
between the center.
All right. So the magic user with their torch will head into the room on the south wall
Yep.
and walk up, and then they're just going to like take their hand and put it in front of the mirror while the dwarf and elf from the doorway watch.
Yep.
So they're
So
not
yes.
going to look in the mirror. They're just going to put their hand in front of it to see. And
I
they're
see.
curious if it reflects. I want to see if it's really a mirror.
I see. So it does seem to be really a mirror. They kind of put their hand in. Yeah, they see. They're kind of looking where you're kind of side eyeing it, sort of, or kind of just
Yeah, yeah.
looking like that. Yeah,
Because the
you
rest
can
of the
see.
party can look.
Yeah, they
Okay.
yes, they can see the hand.
Okay. And they're going to look at the statue.
Yep, it's a pretty serious, in a heroic pose kind of statue. He's got his bow. He's got these dogs, two dogs, one either side, sworded, belted sword.
Okay. Does the bow and sword seem to be part of the statue, the same material, or are they
Yes.
separate items?
Nope, they
Okay.
seem to be the same material, carved or sculpted.
All right. So I guess they're here, so they might as well rescue. So the magic user is going to step across, like past the mirror to the other side to see if they are disintegrated or anything.
Nope, they move aside. And this
Okay.
is turn 8 that we're this room shenanigans, just for folks. Well, I meant to be more calling it up, but we get in kind of the rhythm and I forget. So we're turn 8.
You're not doing the point of the stream.
I know I'm not doing the point of the stream.
So what I want to do is have the thief again examine these mirrors to see if they seem like they might be valuable.
Yeah, and examine them.
So I want to see if they have frames on them. And if there are frames, if there's any jewels, or if the wood is of value. I also want to see if they're connected to the wall or not.
Let me see. Are they? So the mirrors they're hanging. They're kind of hung from strong, I don't know, I guess wire, or I don't know. Do they have hanging wire like that? I don't know. They're hung by let's just say there's kind of a big meaty hook on the back. The frames, it's almost there's very, very little frame. It looks like there's a thick, the metal is thick enough, and there's some kind of maybe there's a wedge or something that they're cut out that's hanging on this hook that's on the wall. And it seems like both of the mirrors are identical in that regard.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, so they don't seem to be. So and I'm sure they're quite heavy. They'll kind of get under it and see how heavy it is. Because a good heavy mirror can be valuable. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Lots of heavy stuff here. Are they small enough that we could get it up the hole if we needed to?
Yes. Yeah. They're
Okay.
not much broader than a person is.
All right.
So about, let's say call it 5 feet or so. Well, 5 feet wide. So you
all
could
right, well,
you could jam it out.
These are all nice, but they're all big. We want the jewelry. So we'll leave that for now. And we'll keep heading to the east.
All right. So let's see. All right. So here there's let me I got to roll a die.
Back in the normal marching order, of course.
Yep. So as you move forward, you can see that there's an archway. Again, the ceilings are higher here in where the stone is carved. There are serpent carvings along the arch. You can see kind of you just kind of catch it. Well, I guess it would be the dwarf and the lead could see it with their infravision that there's a spider that's seems to be lurking in a particularly would have been a good hiding spot kind of at the top of the arch, but the infravision kind of gives it away, and it's hanging there. Kind of, you can see that it sees you, and you see its eyes glinting as it just seems to be in that kind of when animals take on sort of that kind of waiting to pounce mode. It's clearly in that mode.
Okay. How far away am I from it?
At this point, you're maybe call it 10 feet.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna call out that it's there, and the dwarf is gonna stab it with their spear, and the thief is going to shoot it with the crossbow.
Well, let's roll some initiative.
Yeah. All right.
I rolled a 5.
6, I think.
Wow.
Or 1. Nope, 6.
All right. So who's moving? So we're gonna do it. We're gonna go by
the book. All right. So the dwarf is the only one within 10 feet, right? Everybody else is further
Yeah.
away.
Yep. Everyone else is
Okay,
kind of stacked behind.
so they're going to use a spear to hold the line. Crossbow. See if anybody needs to move. Elf.
So the cleric and the fighter are kind of way in the back at this point. The elf is the one is behind would be closest behind the dwarf.
Yeah,
And then
the
it would
elf
be thief, magic
is
user, cleric, and then fighter.
okay. All right, so I'm just looking to see who could actually hit it. So I think everybody's going to stay where they are, because we're going to mostly hit it with missile weapons if we can. Yeah, the dwarf is going to. So nobody's moving. I guess is to answer
Okay.
your question. Everybody's going to use. I know that's not true. The fighter's going to charge forward. Am I close? I come close enough to charge forward, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, fighter's going to charge forward because they have a sword. Everybody else has a missile weapon except for the cleric, but they're going to stay back.
So is the fighter moving all the way into melee?
Yep, the fighter's
Okay.
going to move into melee next to the dwarf to hold the line.
Okay, so he's going to be at that 10-foot distance. He's not moving. He's not going
right.
up. Okay. Yep. So the fighter scoots. Excuse me. Pardon me. Moves by to stand next to the dwarf. All right. That's all for the spider. Doesn't know what the heck you're going to do, so he's just curiously looking at you with his red spidery eyes. Let's see. Missile. Anybody doing? Anyone casting any spells?
No, we're going to hold our spells for now. It's always good to
right.
die with spells in your opponent.
So who's who's tossing missiles into the fray?
All right, so I think the only missiles we have actually, because I realized that the elf is not very well armed, is the thief who has a crossbow.
All right.
So just a thief. I'm going to take a shot with the light crossbow.
Take a shot.
All right. 14. Do I get a bonus for my dex? I do not. Okay, 14.
All right, but it's only got AC 12, so you hit it. So give me your damage.
AC 12. That's a terrible armor class.
Yeah.
Oh right. Oh, it's ascending.
Yeah, ascending.
Oh, all right. What's a bow do? D6? A crossbow rather. D8 for D6 for.
Is it? I could look it up. What does it say?
Sorry, this doesn't say. I guess
Things I should have looked up before. A crossbow. I guess we'll just do D. It's D6. Crossbow's D6.
All right, so it's 6 bow. 3 points damage.
3 points of damage. All right. So it definitely winces. You see some little ichor splash out, but it's still alive. But you won initiative. So now we're on to well, I guess we're on to the melee round, and it didn't move, so it doesn't have 10-foot reach, so it can't get to you this round. Poor guy's like, what do you do this to me for? Why?
Listen,
me?
That spider was waiting to consume us. So I'm not worried.
All right, well, you're
the dwarf. Yeah, I'm just gonna roll both at once. I have a dwarf and a fighter.
Yep, go for it.
All right, so the fighter got a 16, the dwarf got a 13.
Are you guys both
any bonuses? No. Okay. All right. I think sword does a D8 and spear does a D6.
Oh yeah, sure. Whatever. Yeah.
I mean,
that's
fine. I'm a DM. I like to group stuff together. All right, so 8 points total between the two of them.
All right, yeah. Between the two of those, the spider, writhes, and it's, I guess, stuck on the end of your spear as the dwarf pulls it off the little corner where it was hiding, and it, goes into dead spider mode.
Yeah, we take a moment to mourn it. So say, you were a worthy foe, and
I didn't know this
hopefully
spider can actually talk, and I missed that moment. So this is another reason that I didn't pre-read this room. The spider could have said something about wanting to suck out your innards, but I didn't see it in time. So it just says, "Why me?" Is it done?
Since it didn't say that, and then I placed it on the ground with reverence.
All right, it is. It has been so placed, so you can see that
are there webs here?
Are there webs? Not really. No, it's one of those kind of. It has like I guess it's more of like a wolf spider type. It's
okay.
Not.
I was just going to burn them up if there was.
No, you're good. Yeah. You're good.
All right, so. The dwarf turns back and says, "When we get to town, that spider was 10 feet tall." Everybody nods.
Absolutely. You know it.
It's important to build your reputation.
That's it. So beyond
right.
that archway,
Mhm.
let's see. You can see that there. Hold on a minute. Is this? Let me just my. Oh, it looks like it. There's Oh, so yeah, but on the archway, you can see that it seems to open into a very long room. The torchlight doesn't quite get to the other end of it, but you can see that just from the way it's emptying, it seems to be a room that is both seems to be longer and wider than you could see from your current vantage on
Oh,
the
and
far side of
wider.
the archway. Yeah, longer and well, actually, hold on. I keep thinking 10-foot squares. It's 5-foot squares. 5, 10, 15, 20. So sorry. You can actually see your torchlight seems to barely touch the far side of this room, but it definitely goes longer than your torches are. And it looks like you can see because you can kind of see it from where you guys are angled looking through the archway that looks like there are statues along at least the near side of the long wall. So again, it's another room that's rectangular and you're kind of coming in it through the looking at the short end of it or the short side. The long side extends out
Mhm.
past your view. And
Okay.
now we're on to what do we turn? Hold on a minute, where's my tracker that I should be better about calling out? Turn 9.
9.
9.
Okay, so we still have a bit. We want to waste a torch? I guess not. All right. So walking into a big open space is always a dangerous proposition. So we're gonna come in, uh, 3 of the party members. So and we're gonna go. So we're gonna go. Just to confuse you, dwarf. So we're gonna split up. So the dwarf is gonna go this way and the elf this way, and then we'll file behind them as so.
Yep, yep.
So
This is a this is a massive room.
Yeah, and we're going to stay along the walls, and we're going to keep in sight of each other because we have 2 torches, right?
Yeah. So
So
along the near side
ultimately,
of
the
the
magic users
walls,
in one group, and
right. You have to slide kind of around because there are these statues look very
Mhm.
ancient and regal, and they're kind of crumbling, but they seem to be stacked in or lined up at maybe 5-foot intervals down the near side of the wall, down the near side of the wall. So when you kind of coming as you're coming into the room,
So
you
the west
pass by
wall.
2 of them. The west wall,
Okay.
right? The
Yeah,
east
okay.
wall seems to be mostly seems to be bare. There you can hear again the rushing sound of water from the north. Um, there looks like you can see from where you are. You can let me see. Once you get into the room itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, it seems to be it's about looking at the radius light. It's about 30 feet in each direction to the far walls, as you can just see
Hmm.
at the bare air of your torchlight, and then it's about a 60-foot or 65-foot long room. You guys standing basically seems like in the center of it, and about 25 feet across. From where you are, you can see that there's a little alcove that's you can see you can see 2 alcoves that are in the wall opposite. So on the east side, there are 2 alcoves that you can see fairly clearly, and it looks like there might be some other you can see some other parts of the wall that there might be something similar, but they're just a little bit in the not quite illuminated quite enough. And then it looks like in the middle of the south wall, there seems to be kind of an opening there, and in the north wall, though it's not quite centered, like there's an opening there. It's the north wall seems to be more to the east, whereas in the south wall, that opening is centered.
Okay. All right. So right. So splitting into 2 groups, just like so, we're just going to kind of explore. So we're going to start. And we're going to go like this around the room,
Oh, sorry,
and
hold
when
on.
we get to the
I was looking at something on my side. What is your
all right.
what?
So I have the 2 groups, right? So we go
Yep,
dwarf, elf.
yep,
Would it be magic user, thief, cleric, fighter? So there's a torch on either side, right? So we
yep.
go like this. So we're on the west wall. We're going to go 3 each. We're going to go like this. We're looking at the statues. We're kind of exploring. We're going to take our time,
Okay,
and we're going to just kind of walk our way up. And we're going to stay across from each other as much as possible. When we get to that first center opening, though, the people on the north wall, even though they're not at their opening yet, they'll wait
all right.
till the other group gets there, and then we'll kind of deal with that. So we'll check the first half of the room, take at least a turn doing that. Looking at the statues, looking for any carvings or any treasure or anything that might be like embedded in the wall, mosaics, that kind of stuff that might be in there.
Okay,
Because at
so a
this point,
couple
we've killed
things.
a spider and we got no treasure.
Yep. So whoever's looking at the kind of as you're kind of coming around the north part where you said they were going to
Hmm.
kind of take a look. The is you see just for a moment, it looks like 2 eyes kind of glinting in the dark that are in that sort of passage, that east, the kind of north passage, but it's northeast, we'll call it. And but as you sort of turn, it not that you lock eyes, but it seems like you guys notice each other, and it seems to the eyes kind of vanish, and you hear a kind of a shuffling noise going to the north.
Okay, that's to
At
the
the
north.
same time, you can hear some shuffling and dragging and some kind of gibbering a little bit coming from the south. Doesn't look like it's folks who are presuming you have some folks in the south part of the moment that's not in the room, but it seems like it's that's coming from down that south, whatever that south passage that seems to be feeding into this room. There's something, seems like multiple, from just kind of voices and shuffling, multiple things. It sounds like a few things and then maybe something being dragged coming towards you.
Coming towards from the south?
Yes, from the south. Seem to be coming.
Okay, so we're going to signal to the people on the north wall to hopefully the center of the room isn't trapped, to run across the middle so we can get on either side of the door.
Nope, yeah, nothing.
Yeah, and the dwarf will have their spear ready to stab anything that kind of comes up, and the elf who has a sling, they're going to take it from the dwarf actually, and the thief will get missile weapons ready to shoot if anything, and we'll kind of peeking around the corner. If we see something that looks monstrous, we're going to shoot at it.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, we will say later in the tavern that we did ask them their name and stuff, and they attacked us first. Just that's clear.
Yeah, you definitely see. So I'm just going to use the monster names because I'm not going to keep you specific. You see that they're basically three troglodytes.
Oh,
that seem to be dragging. Looks like they got a kind of a leather bag that they're dragging along the ground, and you can hear them. They're talking in sort of a sort of, I don't know, a guttural dialect of basically common. They're muttering. They're muttering about something about the kind of words you can kind of make out as they're coming, and they seem to be, at least at this moment, not quite aware of you because that they seem to be kind of it feels like from what you can see that they're very comfortable in this environment, and they're not really paying attention to what's ahead of them. They're more looking at each other, and you hear them muttering about kind of Boss Trog and then someone or something called Old Greg, and kind of muttering about that as they're pulling this thing along. Dragging.
All right, troglodytes. All right, so you know what? We're gonna.
That's kind of
we're gonna stay on the sides.
Yeah,
we're gonna try to waylay them. So I'm gonna wait. Okay. We're gonna wait on the side and hope that they don't see us when they sneak into the room. When we get to the room, we're gonna try to quickly.
So you want to wait all the way till they get to the room, because there is a chance the closer they get that they're going to see presumably someone's going to glance to see your torchlight. So you're welcome.
Right,
to
that
wait.
is true.
There's a
right. Yeah. You know what? Screw it. We're just going to be murder hobos. This is why murder hobos happen.
All right, so let's.
No, we don't have a choice. Well, we do. I'm going to tell people we didn't have a choice, but yeah, we're just going to. No, I don't want them to run away. So what we're going to do is actually, this is risky. The two people with torches are actually going to take them and go all the ways to the east and west walls, so that we have the minimum chance of the torches being noticed by the troglodytes. And the elf and the dwarf. The elf's going to use a sword because we're going to wait till they get close. They're going to stand by the door so they can see. And when the creatures come in, hopefully they won't notice us. We're going to block that entrance so they can't.
All right.
In other words, we want to trap them in this room. That's my plan.
I'm going to roll for surprise. There is still some light, so I'm going to give them an extra. All right. So so you guys are setting up and you're kind of getting into position, and you see like one of the trugs like nudges the other one in the ribs and like oof, and then they kind of like pointing, and they go like, who's that up there?
Okay, so let's check out which character would do this. So I'm running a lot of characters here. Yeah, the fighter steps in front of the one of the torchlights so that his shadow is projected on the wall.
Yep.
And he gets his voice all deep, and he says, "Who dares question the master? Come forward, or be judged forever."
What's your do you have a charisma
12.
bonus or penalty?
No, 12.
Okay,
my best charisma is 12.
I see. Oh wow, they're kind of looking at each other. They got this kind of confused look. Master, Boss Trog, is that you? And the other one's like, "Oh, great kill, Boss Trog. That can't be Boss Trog. Who are you thinking?"
I have
Who's the
returned. Boss
master?
Trog is returned. And those who follow old Greg will forever suffer. Come. Be rightfully ruled by your master.
All right,
Boss Trog.
I'll give them a roll here. It's I'm rolling really well, or not for you. They all right. They kind of they sort of shuffle along, and one of them's like, "Oh, wait, Rogers of blood, good old blood, love blood." And this seems to be that leather bag as they're kind of hoisting it up, and as they kind of lift up, there's blood kind of like dripping out of the bottom. You can see it's a leather bag, but the seams is like little. It's obviously been darkened.
All right. So when they come into the room,
Yep.
we're gonna waylay them from behind.
All right. I'm gonna just give you guys a surprise around here before they realize that horrible things happen to them.
So we only need one of them alive. So the thief is actually, if I because we're surprising, right? Can I use my backstab?
Yep.
All right. The thief is going to try to backstab one of them, and then the other people will jump on the other one and kind of hold him down. So that's the plan. So hopefully I don't terribly miss. I'm just going to roll because it doesn't matter what my node would. Oh, 16 plus 4 is 20. So that should hit, I would imagine.
It does.
All right. And now, is it double damage for us?
I think so.
Yeah. 5 times 2 is 10.
10. All right. Let me see which one's going to make a difference.
Actually, no. I have a -1 for my strength. So 4 times 2 is 8.
Okay. Well, it's important then. So now I need you to pick, because there are 3 of them. They have different hit point totals, and 2 of them it will kill, but 1 of them it will not. So.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I thought there was only 2. So we would try to kill 2 of them if possible.
All right. So just for the one you backstab.
This is just 1. Yep. Okay. So this is, but the thief's handling 1 of them. Yeah, okay. So
if you get 1 to 2, it'll be the first one. 2 to 3, or 3 to 4, the second one. 5 to 6, the third one.
5 to 6.
Oh, okay. That's so. But that's the one that had more than 8 hit points. So,
that's all right.
Yeah.
He's probably mostly dead.
Mostly dead.
So okay, so the elf and the elf.
Yeah. So what do the other guys do? So that's the thief's backstab. So melee.
Yeah. Okay. So the elf and dwarf. You know what? Yeah, we're just gonna. The elf and dwarf are both gonna hit the same one, just to be sure we kill it, because we really don't want to be facing a lot of these things.
Yep.
Okay, I got a 13 and an 18. No bonuses.
18 hits.
Okay. Yeah, no bonuses. Okay, so the 18 was this. Well, they're both the same weapon. So 4 points.
Okay, that is enough. So that one drops. Unless, do you want to do would you like to describe how you take out the troglodyte?
Very badly. As the elf and the dwarf stumble, the dwarf goes to stab with a spear, and the elf steps in front of him. They're like, "Whoa!" And then the elf stabs and kills the troglodyte.
Fair enough.
And then the dwarf shakes his head.
Now we're rolling initiative for round 2.
Okay.
Oh, wait, what are your other guys? So you do have the cleric, the fighter, the magic user.
So the cleric was going to try to waylay the last one, like kind of knock him out if
go
possible. I don't know. There's no rule for that, obviously. So I don't know.
He's
usually
you're close enough that you can kind of get in there. It's fine.
All right. So he's going to try to whack him with the club, but trying not to kill them.
Yep. Subduing. You're trying to subdue.
Yeah, 19. Yeah, he's trying to subdue.
That's going to hit.
Oh, -1 with the strength, though, so 18. But I think 18 hit before. So.
Yeah, it's 14. You needed a 14.
Okay, so club. Oh, club's a D4, right?
Is that? Oh gosh, you're right again. Let's see. Hold on.
I'm just gonna say
D6. If you don't know, it's D6. Let's just.
All right. Well, I'll do that. Okay, 6.
It is
-1, 5.
5. All right.
You want me to roll D4 instead?
No. Okay. I'm fine with doing just D6 damage anyway. It does for this, especially for our purposes. It's not that not a big.
Yeah, I actually like the D6 damage. To be honest with you.
Okay. So.
Okay, yeah. So he whacks that guy over the head, knocking him. 5.
Okay, roll a D6 with 1 to 3. It's the first one. 4 to 6 is the second one. Just matters for hit point totals.
Okay, 3.
3. Okay. All right. All right. Now let's roll initiative for the next round.
Okay. Is he still up?
He is still up. Yeah.
Okay. So there's 2 up.
Right? There's 2
or
up.
3. Okay.
2. Third one is just a mush. Gotcha.
Initiative 2.
I rolled a 5. Oh, so they get to go first.
All right.
Oh yeah, their eyes blaze in hatred. You fooled us, and we don't like it. All right, so let's see. So we've got my choices of targets. I got the elf, the dwarf, and the cleric. who are here in melee, and the thief,
And
right?
the thief. Yeah.
All
The
right,
only
so
ones not there are the fighter and the magic user because they
all
were
right,
doing
so
the thing.
clean
Did,
D4.
did,
Go ahead.
okay.
No, I was looking at
Go ahead.
D4. Elf. Let's see if he actually
Okay.
let's see if he actually hits the elf.
Oh no, Legolas.
14.
I don't know what their armor
Let's see,
class is.
plus
He's in
1,
chain
so
armor.
15. Be
I
15.
have the other kind of armor class. His armor
Chainmail.
classes. He's got
Chainmail.
chainmail armor. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I forgot? Is anybody moving? See, here's what I forgot. So first, I'm sorry. So it's just to retcon this slightly. They're engaging they're in melee with who's front. Is anybody else moving around who
Yeah.
are not
The magic
engaged in
user.
melee?
Yeah, the magic user is going to. No, I'm sorry. The magic user is where he is, but the fighter is going to charge forward.
Okay, so the fighter can get it. And then any spells? Magic user, you're holding onto your magic missile.
You know what? I'll use it. Why not?
All right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Cast the magic missile spell.
Which one are you targeting? There's the one that's
the one that got backstabbed and didn't go down, which who I assume is
okay.
the largest of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it says, yeah, it's just what is magic missile? I should probably read that up real quick. First level magic users. I do like that the bookmarks in OSE are very nice. Okay, magic missile does 1d6 plus 1 damage. I got it. It's 1d6 plus 1.
Okay. 4 plus 1 is 5.
All right, yeah, that one drops. So we're down to 1. This is the one you guys are attempting to subdue, I presume. All right, so that
the magic missile, by the way, looks like a bunch of butterflies.
Just very, very,
it's like a stream of butterflies just pellet the person's face, and as they swipe it off, they fall to the ground dead.
That's at least your last thing you see is kind of beautiful. I think that's what it says.
Exactly.
Beautiful. It was beautiful. All right, so the elf. I'll just say that the attack the elf and did. Oh no, wait, it's not that much. I keep forgetting. So they got. Oh, it's actually not.
He had chain. I guess.
They have two. They got 2 attacks. So sorry, let me roll both attacks together, and they both hit, and then it's that doesn't. 3 points of damage total. These guys do not.
Oh, he's dead.
Oh no!
He only had 2 hit points. Died with the spell. That's all right.
Oh, so it's like say he hits, and then he bites in, and then he's like, oh, as he feels the lifeblood of the elf drains away. Any famous last words for the elf?
The elf says, "Ouch."
And that's it. All right, so now your guys are up because he's on his left. So you got the dwarf. Goodbye, elf. Dwarf, fighter, cleric. Who do you want to take? Dwarf, fighter, and the thief.
Okay,
and the cleric.
Thief's gonna
too, right? I think they're all up there.
Yeah, everybody's in there. So I think the fighter actually charged forward. I'll let it. He hasn't got any blood on his sword yet, so let's. He's gonna roll.
That's true. The one person.
Oh, that's probably a miss with an 11.
Yeah, that is.
All right. Okay, dwarf. 18 with the dwarf.
Yep, that
hits because you said 14, right? And we're going D6 damage for everything now.
You're trying to subdue
5 points.
All right.
No, we subdued 1 already. Well, yeah, the one we're trying to subdue is the one we're subduing.
Yeah. All right.
We're only trying to subdue 1 of them. So.
Yeah, and it drops it.
Okay.
Batters him, and I guess uses the what weapon was he using? A
sword.
Axe. Oh, sword. Maybe slaps him with the that. I don't know if that actually works in real life, but hits him with the flat part of the blade. Pummeled him. Yeah, as the troglodyte was standing exultant with the remains of the elf in his hands, the bonks and knocks him straight out. Combat ended.
All right. We're gonna loot the elf's
call
body.
This a turn. Yep, I'll give you that in a second. This was turn 11 for those following at home.
Oh, so we have to rest next turn anyways. So we'll drag the elf's body into the corner, and the troglodytes and stuff, and tie them up and stay in, and then we're gonna rest here. So we'll go into the south.
Yeah. So for the records, folks, is this learning things? I forgot to use the troglodyte's nauseating stench. Just my bad.
Right, because we get a penalty to our 2.
Get a penalty on troglodytes, which might have made a difference. But let's just say that these were clean. Somehow they'd unfortunately gotten clean to their own dismay. and now they had
They
a
hadn't
chance to dirty themselves up
sprayed it yet.
again yet. In terms
Alright.
of loot, do these guys have much loot? Is the question. Let's see. Does it
We have the
say?
blood
What
bag.
does it say? They got the yeah. You have a large leather bag filled with blood. There seems to be a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit of solid stuff in there, but it's not very nice. Wow, okay. I didn't even really have a chance for that. And then I don't see any. I don't see a treasure thing. So I'm just gonna roll. I'm gonna roll for some. I'm gonna go to rolling for treasure. I don't see it. Where's treasure? And then I think we'll kind of just end it here. And if folks have any comments, questions, where's my?
Oh, there is a chat over here. I haven't.
There is a chat. Well, it's good
Don't
you haven't
split the
looked at it, 'cause
party.
yeah, don't split the party. Do I have to, I'm going to go to BX because I don't see treasure in this particular thing.
For
So I
what?
got my,
Troglodyte? Yeah.
in their listing, I don't see it. They might not.
They might not have any
Maybe
because they're basically
that's why it's
cavemen.
not listed.
Yeah.
Let's see.
A is what it says.
A. Oh, that's something. All right. So you
But
wanna roll it up?
that'd be like, well, that's like lair treasure.
I don't care. I'm gonna, it's let's see. You got this. You didn't take the rug. You didn't do this. So let's see. Oh, magic.
We got nothing.
That's I wonder if that's got to be their layer. But let's.
I mean,
Let's
that's
just
a
go
lot
with
of
it,
treasure.
Just for gig. Well, actually, you know what? I think Don John has a. We could do this the quick and dirty way. I think Don John has a treasure thing because that is a lot.
Does.
All right, let me just flip over there.
We'll probably get enough treasure to raise the elf from the dead.
That's true. Poor elf.
Poor
Okay,
Legolas.
treasure generator. Where are you? Fantasy treasure map. No, random. I know it's here, but where is it? Fantasy calendar. No. AD&D. D20 fantasy. Random treasure generator. Here we go. Level. They got.
There's one for Labyrinth Lord that would probably be more.
Maybe I need to. Let me. There's got to be.
Not on Don John. Let me see if I have it.
Whenever.
Actually, OSE has one. Go to the OSE generators.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, there's OSE generators.
Is it under Necrotic Gnome? On their site?
Good question.
Old school essentials, tools and resources, generator tools. There we go. Okay.
There's treasure types. Should be
treasure.
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 You can do by type.
Type
And
A.
Basic.
I did. Yeah, I'll do basic. Type A.
Oh my god.
You got. Oh my god. I got. I don't know what you got. I got 27,320 gold piece value.
Yeah, I got 29,030. So the way that a lot of people do it is that you would then divide it by the number of creatures against the maximum, right? So like if a troglodyte is...
Oh, is that? I would...
Well, that's what people do. That's not actually in the book. That's what actually the book tells you to do, but I still think it's supposed to only be when they're in their lair. So in other words, I can't find the troglodyte.
All right,
how many is the maximum?
Let me see how many items we got here. We got 1, 2, 3.
There could be 40 of them in the lair. So you just divide it by 40.
10, 11, 12, 13.
Well, there was 3 of them, right? So
16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, so we got to here. This is we're going to do this. They happen to give us 20 items. We have what's called a D20. So roll 3 D20, and whichever rows you get is what they happen to have on their person.
All right, here we go. 18.
18. So you get there's a protection from elementals scroll.
Oh. So I'm writing this down because, for my...
Like it's like folded up like he was using as a tissue. It's there.
Right. 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A piece of jewelry, say a brooch that's worth 600 gold pieces.
Okay. Like the worst
using it to hold up his underwear.
And finally,
high is better for this. 17. All right. 20. Oh, there's another piece of jewelry. Call it a necklace, but he's using it as an anklet that's worth 1,300 gold pieces.
Okay, that's not bad. All right, probably not enough to raise the elf, but
Well, it's something. It's something for your troubles.
That's right.
Anyone got anything, folks? So one of the things that I realized, multiple times running through this, how I wasn't necessarily calling things out as strictly as I wanted to, but really the thing is you just stuff happens, turns, go forward. Before you got here, I was doing some prep work. I had my random. I did my wandering encounters in advance, and you ran into. You ran into two of them. One of which was that purple lizard that was burping Kazek. That was just. It's just It was about 70 feet away when it came, and it was going the other direction. So you just got some Kazeks before it wandered off. And then it's funny because in that room, that last room you were in, there was a 1 in 3 chance that a troglodyte is watching you from the North Passage, and you guys happen to go that way. I rolled, he was there, so he watched you, ran off, and then it was actually a wandering creature check, which was troglodytes moving from somewhere else through this area towards their lair with the blood bag, with this like little storyline of old Greg and the boss Trog. So those were the 3 events. The first one was in round 7, and then round 10 leading into 11 was the troglodytes. They're the mirrors. So here's one, I guess, just so the mirrors, if you look in the mirror, you're supposed to see the face of the hunter looking back at you, and then that statue animates, and the dogs, and then it kind of changes the whole thing up. But here's where you were being very careful, it seemed like, to really not be looking in the mirror. So when you were specifically doing things, since it didn't seem like you were looking in it to really look in the mirror, I didn't have it. I decided, like, yeah, you seem to be kind of doing things to kind of check out the mirror with avoiding looking into it. So I didn't have the mirror trigger. And that's something, this is for the GMs, the referees out there, if you're running Whole New York or running something else, you just kind of take into context what the players are doing. I mean, there's really no bad way to run it. I could have said roll a save to not look at it, or roll something else, but you seem to be acting carefully, so I just honored the fact you're acting carefully and did not have the mirror.
What's interesting there is that I'm glad that you did, because that's why I asked you, do the mirrors see the statue? I figured they had something to do with the statue, and that's why I didn't want to look to see the statue reflected in the mirror.
Mystery mirrors and rugs mysteriously laying on the floor. Those are things you learn over time to avoid.
Well, I figured the mirrors had something to do with the statue, but I didn't want to, or they could just be a trap, like a Mirror of Life trapping. But I was like, okay, yeah. So what I was going to do, and I don't know if it says what it would have happened, is I was thinking of just taking them off the wall and turning them.
I don't think anyway. I mean, other than the fact that they might have been. I mean, I was just going to play it as being pretty heavy, but yeah, there's nothing to say you can't grab him, turn it really. And this is the thing that maybe this is where you look at the style of these adventures, and it's interesting about it, kind of what the adventures give you and what they don't give you. So about the teleportation circle, they say it's runes on the floor. It doesn't say what the runes say. But there's no mention of what the runes tell you. If you do happen to do like what you were doing and kind of roll up the rug from the edges, it doesn't say what the runes say. So if you had used read magic, I would have just had to ad lib something, something on there. And then in terms of the hunter, right, just has looking at the mirror, nothing really about the weight or turning them around, but it doesn't seem, they don't mention that you can't touch them. They don't mention anything about it, just mentions looking in the mirror. So presumably you could turn them around, put them. You probably could have taken them with you. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if you took the mirror, if there's what the mirrors do if you leave the place with them, or what. But
right, because you have to wonder, like, what's the magic there? Is the magic that you seeing yourself in the mirror with the hunter makes the hunter real?
See, what happens is when you look in the mirror, if you had looked in it, then you wouldn't have seen your face. You would have seen the hunter's face looking back at you.
Right.
And then they would have come. But actually,
so it's not that you see the statue in the mirror; it's if you see yourself in the mirror.
You kind of see yourself, but then like it's the hunter's face instead of your face. I guess
I'm saying that's the activation. So the activation is seeing your face in the mirror. So
yeah, right. So that's why I was looking for that cue where you're like really looking at it. But like if you're looking at it from an angle and you're looking at the guy's hand, and that doesn't seem to be like the face bit. So I was like, well, he's not really looking, and that's the smart thing to do, because whenever you see mirrors in dungeons like that, either it's a puzzle where you have to do something with the mirror to advance, or you're looking in the mirror and either you're going to end up in the mirror, something's going to come out of the mirror out of you to get you. It would be funny though, because if we were playing a campaign and you took that mirror out, I would totally have the hunter still activate, but now it's just might take like weeks for this hunter to catch up to you. But like you would have seen the whole thing, and I would have just had some fun with this hunter stalking you, as you guys are like pounds away, all of a sudden this hunter's, coming.
Because eventually you look in the mirror, right?
Yeah, I mean, imagine, especially if you took it with you, or it'd be funny if you sold it to
Although,
somebody and they,
well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
they're looking at
like that would be a really interesting long term like weapon, right? You get somebody to look in the mirror, and then the hunter is following them,
it. And the hounds and the two dogs come
and
too,
the two.
and they're kind of tough too because the hunter is magic or silver. So the one that
Yeah,
it
I have
definitely
two silver
changes
arrows.
how the game, how this module plays out if you've got this thing like chasing after you. Because the other thing happens is once this activates, then when you're rolling for wandering creatures, there's a chance that it's going to be the hunter showing up. So you have this kind of stalking dread
Gotcha.
of this guy like coming through.
Huh.
But yeah, you got. I wonder if, hopefully GMs found it more valuable. I'm kind of thinking some folks might have found it more valuable as a player, seeing you kind of operate in the dungeon and taking all the kind of dungeoneering precautions. Like I said, from the GM side, having rolled up the wandering creatures, all I had to do was really track the timing. And when the wandering creatures came up, I just looked at how far away it was. I looked on the map that seemed to make the most sense for where it'd be coming from, and then I just kind of threw it in the mix. But given that now this dungeon, it's you check once per turn, but it's only a 1 in 6 chance. So I had rolled up ahead of time, I think 30 rounds, and there were only 5 wandering creature checks. So it may seem like a lot, but if you roll them in advance, you realize, oh, it's like once every 5 turns, basically something was gonna trigger somewhere, more or less. Brian Smith wants to know what the glove was. The glove is just the glove. It just seemed to be a glove. I think there might be some other bits. I want to say there's some other, like there's another glove somewhere. I think maybe if the statues were examined closely, I think there's another like bit of clothing or something. I think.
Yeah, I guess it's a way to add
Oh, there's
flavor
a
to stuff, but
boot. One
I always
of the
feel
statues
like
got a boot behind it.
adding that stuff is it's risky, right? Because you get players that just linger on it.
Yeah, totally.
It's
Right.
like,
So there's
okay,
like
well, it's like, what is this glove? Like, why is it here? Now there's a boot too. Like the glove itself, like if I'd found the boot, then I would have started thinking, okay, hold on, this is something. At first I was like, well, it's probably just flavor. That's why I was like, but let me just check it. Because it would have
yeah,
been
it's
like if
always
I was
good.
thinking
It's
like,
always
oh, we have
good
to
to.
track which way we're going, right? Because adventurers go into a dungeon and they're usually trying to figure out they're tracking, right? So if you're by yourself or you weren't mapping something, you might mark the wall, you might leave something like breadcrumb, right?
Good
So
point.
that's why I was asking if it was pointed or if it was
Yeah, no, there's no note about how it's put. And yeah, there's an old boot behind one. I mean, this is something, it's interesting because you think about it now, just thinking about it, that maybe there's a little bit of missed opportunity to have something like a secret or a trap or some kind of trigger around where these things are. So like because in this room, it just didn't come up because I didn't think you guys didn't really get to it. But in the statue that's most in the northeast corner, there's a statue and there's a boot behind that statue, but it doesn't mean anything. There's not like there's not a secret passage there or a trap. So it would have been interesting if where those things were, that like if you'd taken that route and turned it, like it opened something, or there was something like it. It is something like
right.
you want to put significance, but yeah, it basically is just flavor. I guess you could call it a red herring, since they don't, as far as I know, they don't lead to anything, but they can get you thinking. Maybe I guess I don't know what the reason is. Maybe to get you thinking in different directions, or just to give you like a false sense of that it might be what's going on. But yeah, it isn't. It is. I definitely agree. It can be dangerous. It'd be really great to have flavor, but then you could find some folks getting. I mean, it's often what happens, right? You're trying to get them to focus on, the important thing in the party is over here, and yet this weird little detail you just happen to throw in there is the thing that they're all gathered around.
Right. And it's a
Pondering.
glove like in a random place in an intersection, right? If it had been like at the roots or something and it was torn, then it'd be like, oh, maybe they tore it climbing up or down or they were trying to run. But like there, it didn't mean anything. So I don't know. I find those things to be, I don't know, less than ideal for me. Like I don't love that kind of stuff. I know some people love it. I feel like too much detail can really confuse the players. Especially in a dungeon crawl, there's so much stuff going on. I'm trying to figure out, what's happening. And then it's like there's footprints, there's hoofprints, there's a glove, there's boots. And it's like,
Yeah, there
okay,
are some. I think
I'm sure some of
I
it's
want to say the
relevant.
boot prints and the hoof prints are probably supposed to give you, to clue you in the fact that there's fawns, and then there
Hmm.
are gnomes. That was one of the true
Right.
rumors, was that there are gnomes. The interesting thing is, I guess, again, it doesn't say that they're small, so I could see if somebody might not, if you the hoof prints, I guess it's one of those things I would have been interested to say, like, hey, gnome sized hoof prints or something, or sorry, boot
Yeah.
prints, because you could get confused and think like, oh, these are human boot prints. But I think the idea is that they're showing you that there's traffic in and out by the gnomes
Right, that's
and
what I
these
took from it too,
fawns.
and that's
Yeah.
why I cleared the floor because I was hoping that we would know, like, if we came back in an hour and there was movement, then we like, okay, this is an active dungeon. Because you had mentioned,
yeah.
well, you can't tell how old they are. That's why I did that. I was just trying to track
No, it was
what was around
especially
us.
if you're coming back and forth like you might in an actual session where you come in, maybe like this might have been the last encounter you guys do before you back away from the dungeon to rest up, maybe get the elf healed or pick up a new elf that you might come back and see. And I would totally, because this is active, even though I didn't roll any encounters, I would have put more footprints and footprints. I assume that more of them would be walking around. Well, Daniel, thanks so much for doing this. I hope this was useful. Like I said, it's one of these things that just the procedures are pretty straightforward. I think the thing is just to, I feel like maybe with if you're a new GM, maybe it's nervousness. I know there's the threat of the idea that there's dead air if you're in front of a group of people, either virtually or in person, can make you rush through things. Prepping those encounters ahead of time for me was great because then I could just look and say what turn's coming. I could look at the distance, and I had it all set. So I just had to kind of read through what I had. Obviously, if we just decided to do this yesterday, I would have spent more time trying to read through the dungeon a little bit better, but I didn't. And I'm using the PDF, so I was kind of scrolling in between the descriptions and where the map is.
Right.
So I know there's map things in the corner, but sometimes I needed to get past where they show in the book. So if I had done more prep, I would have been a little bit smoother, but still, I don't think it was terrible by any means. And then you just play things as they come. In combat, I goofed and forgot about the movement phases, so I just went back and did the phases, right? So if something comes up, you don't catch it, or if I missed a turn here or there, well, you just go on to the next turn. And nothing's going to break the game. Nothing's going to kill the experience. You just have fun. Oh, I missed a turn. Okay, well, we'll just consider that turn kind of done. So hopefully folks found that useful. Daniel, thanks again. What you got? Anything you want to send people to besides your YouTube channel? You got what's going on in the Bandit Keep world?
No, that's pretty much it, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Check out my YouTube channel if you don't know yet.
I forgot to put the note. I'll put a link in the show notes, but I think I did at you, at least on my channel commentary tab. So you've got that. But yeah, check out Daniel.
Yeah, check me out.
Awesome. I'll see you next week at game night. And folks, for the rest of you, have a great weekend if you're watching this now. If not, have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, everybody. Daniel, thank you again. Talk to you later.